We're good. Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Tejano Talks. This is episode 3, and today's a very special episode because we have our very first faculty member, Mr. Mario Cruz, with us today. How you doing, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Scientist, for the invite. Very happy to be here.
Thank you. Again, we have a good cast of juniors and seniors here. We have Mr. Brenda Vieira. We have Leo Saldivar, Frank Rodriguez, and another very special guest, one of our very own alumni, student that's been all around the world, Angel Reyes in Japan.
Hello, glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. As you all know, today we will be discussing the film, a very, very impactful film in history and culture that encapsulates around 10 years of Chicano culture, and that is the film Blood In, Blood Out, also known as Bound by Honor. We saw video essays on it and a couple of scenes. And so I will go over a couple of things over here and kind of pick on you guys to kind of, give me your 2 cents as to what you all believe. First of all, how many of y'all, just on imagery alone, where'd it go? This guy right here. Let's go to the Matachin scene, right around here. Let's see. Thinking about all the murals. How do y'all think murals and artwork kind of impact community here in Eagle Pass, especially in Piedras? We got some new ones in Piedras. What do y'all think about murals and artwork growing up and seeing them in the images there in the film and in town? Y'all like that?
I think it's a very big part of even the movie itself. It represents basically, the whole culture aspect, the whole, even the what's it called, the subtitles and the everything about it. I think it's a good representation of everything as a whole. So, and I remember seeing them a lot in church too. So the matachines and everything, and then dancing, we're like, oh my gosh, they're there.
Yeah. Have you had the chance to see the summit, sir, when they have the matachines in town too? I know the intro sequence. Oh, I love it. Behind the mall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were really, really cool. So, yeah.
I love that. I know that there's a little bit it's a quasi-religious and cultural thing. It's not necessarily like a Roman Catholic thing alone, right? Do you know any of the history about that, Mr. Cruz? How that got to be, out of curiosity?
Of the Matratines?
Yes.
Or the Chicano mural?
Well, a little bit of both. I know they reflected a lot on the murals as well, the ancient cultures and all that.
Yeah, let me mention a little bit about the murals. It actually was a phenomenon, a movement by Chicanos, and we don't refer to Mexican Americans as Chicanos anymore. But still, that is a big form of self-expression.
Self-expression, right?
Because a lot of people think that Chicano was a style, or being a cholo was a style, but obviously no, it wasn't. It's a culture. It's the way that people actually lived, and maybe we weren't as a culture, we're not able to convey that out in the open. But with art, that was displayed, and that's how we were able to allow our heritage to kind of speak out for us.
I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. We don't hear the terminology as Chicano anymore to refer to us. I've seen a lot. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I've seen the word Latin and then with the letter X towards the end.
Latinx.
You just say Latin and pause X. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not to reveal a gender, like Latino, Latina. Latinx is used.
See, I didn't even know that. I want to talk a lot about. Let's see here. We got the matachines, the religious regalia there. Sorry about that. So it has a couple of lessons. 1, drugs affect more than just the user. 2, family is forever. 3, be proud of your culture, and beware the loss of your self-identity within the pack mentality. I'll read that one more time. Beware the loss of your self-identity within the pack mentality. Now, pack mentality. We're talking about groups and stuff like that. And without mentioning names or sides, let's just say, blue side and red side. I feel that statement, that last statement, loss of your self identity within the pack mentality. How, especially the young, okay, this is for the juniors and the seniors here. Have you seen, or do you feel that a lot of your culture, what you believe is the narrative for kids right now is kind of dominated by culture as seen through social media or media platforms? And does it dictate who you are, and does it dictate your choices and immediate, like, I am this kind of a person or that kind of person? Or is there more freedom? I don't know. What do you all think about the group think and how possibly some folks have gotten polarized by it? Or I don't know. Frank?
I think it depends. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No,
I think it depends on the person, because like it depends on how much you're on social media and how much it matters to you personally.
Yes.
Because now there's like the whole like cancel culture thing going on, and like
That's another.
you have to like really like watch out
Yeah.
for like what you say online and like what you do, because that status that you made throughout like whatever time you've been on social media could just like go down like it's nothing. But like I feel like since it's that easy to take it down, at least to me, it doesn't hold that much importance, because I want to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's just kind of like it makes people lose themselves in their own image. Like they try to shape what other people perceive them as, and that's kind of like really hard to control. So I think people do lose themselves in like, at least in social media.
But you're saying it's a factor of two things. One is your temperament as a person. If the kid is strong and strong-willed and doesn't care about it, they should be fine. But if they care a little bit too much about what other people think, then they could dictate their behaviors, rather. And then also social validation. Am I accepted as who I am? You know, within the spectrum of the current narrative, meta narrative. Yeah, I do find it to be a little bit harder now, because my question is, okay, this is a great question actually now, not to toot my own horn over here. Angel, you who've gone to Japan more than once, right? Because the high school wasn't the only time. How has, he left. Oh, he was driving, I think. Bueno, I'll see. Hopefully he shows up again in a second. I wanted to ask him, I might have to repeat myself in a second, how culture is perceived, around the world. We are aware and we believe we perceive properly what is going on around us, and we perceive it through, where's our phone? Through our cell phone devices, right? This is reality. But I mean, a lot of our reality, I guess, revolves around day-to-day living. And I'm curious. I wanted to ask him how different it was in Japan and the cultures over there. That would have been a great question, but it was in this way. Let me see. Let's keep it going for now.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, please.
Right. You know what? And right now, I'm so glad that I'm able to be in a forum with all these young people, because right now, the way that I grew up and you and I, Mr. Sanchez, is completely different. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that about perception and how they view us out of here. And I'm going to use an example. When we had that migrant caravan a couple of years ago, it's like a lot of people made it out to seem like, hey, you know what? Those people in Eagle Pass, they're in danger. Their lives, narco terrorism all the time. And they probably thought there's kidnappings and all of these, of course, the human trafficking going on. But in reality, for us that we live here, it's not that way. And in the same way that people in like Washington or other place may think that we need a wall from Mexico, for us that live here and that we live in here day in, day out, we're affected by this. I would state that most of us don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that perception of how things are and how people view it from far away, it's a completely different story.
Yeah, I agree with you. Real quick addition to that, and I want to ask you again, Angel, because you kind of you dropped the call for a second, but I want to agree with you, Mr. Cruz. Real quick, two quick stories about perception and reality. When that happened, they summoned like 400 state troopers. You could throw a rock just randomly, just like, and it was going to hit a state trooper's car. It was ridiculously how dense it was. And yet we were all living our lives. I was picking up my kids. I remember, and I have the video, I was picking up my son from school, and it wasn't just a regular customs helicopter. It was like some two Apache type helicopters, right? Our tax dollars flying over his school. And I recorded him and I tilted it up to capture my boy. And then the Apache helicopters were flying above him. And so there's this weird juxtaposition of innocence and like fear. Like, why is that there right now? It felt like it. It did. And real quick, another addition. This is to a good friend of mine, Jesse Fuentes. Much to his credit, we invited a lot of kids for the Frontera Film Festival 2 years ago from a different city close to Austin. It was from Blanco ISD. And it was around the same time that caravan thingy happened. And what did they see when they came here? Because they have their perceptions of, border towns, drugs, guns, Lord knows what else is a perception. But we live our lives. We raise our children here. I am choosing to be here and to be an active member of the community. And when those kids came, I'm pretty sure they might have felt a little uneasy, perhaps. I don't know. But they put their best foot forward, and we treated them to a wonderful event. There was live performances. There was, filmmaking, movies. There was a little bit of everything, and they had a real great time. My hope is that they take those stories back, and whenever they get asked, it was like, oh, you ever been in the border or whatever? And it's like, oh yeah, it's great. Kids, art, storytelling, it's there. And it's like, oh, we have to be in charge of that narrative. Now, Angel, this was the thing I was going to ask you about culture over there across the world. How is it impacted? Like, does social media impacted the same over there back then as it does over here, or are the traditions a little bit more rooted in day-to-day life in the Japanese culture? What's your perception as opposed to over here into the Southwest Texas?
Mostly, I think it's a lot like here, where social media is actually really, really used. It's really popular. That and sports is something, especially baseball. Baseball is just so popular over there. Like basically here, football, over there, baseball. And everyone watches it. Everyone they got it together. They watch baseball. They play baseball. Like, it's insane. So sports, and especially there's this app. It's called Line, I believe. It's like Japanese WhatsApp or maybe Facebook Messenger, but it's like you can put status updates. You can change your profile picture, do this, that, whatever. And it's called Line. It's like a good little mix between Facebook and WhatsApp. And honestly, yeah, everything is impacted like that. I know
you see it, like the family unity and the sense of self as Japanese people, and the ties that they have. How do you see it kind of getting in the way as well over there? People possibly getting polarized, some polarization over there as well, or the little time you were there.
I know. I mean, even in the what's called the train, no one would look up. Everyone would just be staring like online. Yeah, everyone, literally everyone.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's kind of like the way they are, mostly because it's rude to be loud, in the metro or stuff like that. So like they kind of just keep themselves busy. Even when you're wearing headphones, it can't be too loud, because sometimes how you're like jamming now, you kind of jam out too hard. I guess sometimes you can kind of hear the little like bass or something.
Yeah.
Even that's not okay. It's rude.
Oh, so the traditions are still holding on tight still. Yeah, that's great. Well, real quick side note, One of the things I heard that when Japan was doing real good against COVID, one of the things that they attributed it to was their manners. Like they don't raise their voice. So if you're not talking, you're not singing. The louder you speak, the more you sing, the more that the little things float out and can affect other people. And they were saying they attributed that to their mannerisms. Like, oh, that's really helping them right now. That and the masks and all that stuff. So
And even before COVID, one time I remember I got sick, but I mean I wasn't really sick. It wasn't like the flu or it wasn't anything contagious. I just had like a sore throat, and they were like, "Okay, well, when you go to school, wear this mask." And I'm like,
this was
I'm not used to wearing a mask. Like, why would
2018.
I? They're like, "Yeah, you don't have to get other people infected if you are, whatever kind of sickness you have. Don't get other people infected. Don't bother them. Like you wear the mask because you want to protect others, not because
The mentality was already set since
Yeah.
then. What year did you go again? I forget. 2017.
I went 2016, then I came back 2017 and 2018. Like
So there was a real sense of like social pressures. Like, bro, like it's not all about you.
yeah, basically, it's kind of like don't bother anyone. Don't talk to anyone. Don't look at anyone in the eye. Like don't just you do you and that's it. Like you're done. So
That's interesting. See, this is why we need this. We need a bigger understanding because there's not enough time for us to live all of our lives. So, but if we're open to listening to one another, it's like, oh, I could gain that experience from Angel. Like I remember he said, he's been over there, and this is the, how they, this is how it is proper to behave in certain ways and situations. I love that. All right, let's keep the party going. Let's keep it moving. Sorry, guys, I love cultures, and I'm very, very excited to talk about it. So we talked about the loss of your self identity within the pack mentality. I want to talk a little bit about, so we have the three characters. We have Paco, Cruz, and Miklo. Hey, Miss Cruz, like Mr. Cruz. So it says here, Cruz starts off as a lovable artist and a peacemaker, expressing himself through his paintings, right? He ends the movie as a strong and carefree, ready to fight anything that life will throw at him. He represents the aspect of Chicano mythology and lore. It says his art gallery is a celebration of the Chicano people in everyday life, coated with a sublime sense of mystique that is beautifully familiar to one community, yet falls into misconstrued infatuation by the greater public. So it's kind of weird because the culture is kind of being commodified through the images and sold. You see what I'm saying? So your art and culture is being sold. So pride of heritage requires an inner freedom and independence, but Cruz is stifled by the external influences of exploitation, which manipulate him in the way that he may be unaware. So exploitation, possibly markets and money, right? So it says, Cruz returns to his artistic roots, and the imagery of antiquity develops a new mythos. Oh, this is towards the end. This is right here. Let me show that real fast. So he goes back to this scene, and I love this, and I want to know, because Mr. Cruz himself kind of witnessed the imagery and the culture, and looking back and being a teacher of history, I want to know what your take on this is. These last few words. He says, the imagery of antiquity develops into a new mythos embedded in today's youth, who carry the blood of the ancients, living legends in their own time that may yet usher in their own kingdom of Aslan. How does seeing this image or going back to images from past, I mean, even us right now, the fact that we're talking about this film, how does it make you feel, or what nostalgia does it give you, Mr. Cruz?
Actually, it did a lot. I lived in California for a few years, and and I can relate to this because my parents. Well, I was a migrant student growing up. My parents went to work, do seasonal work in California. We lived in what today is Silicon Valley. We lived in Sunnyvale and Santa Clara, San Jose, and we also lived as far as Bakersfield. But one of the things that just has caught my attention right now, when we were just talking about misconceptions,
yes,
the way that people see how we live here, but in general, there's perceptions and misconceptions about the Chicano experience.
Yeah.
the Chicano experience as a total, and that's where like ignorance and indifference
Mhm.
cultures, and that creates that racial intolerance, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we sometimes can't seem to get along because we sometimes we ourselves as Mexican Americans fail to educate others or be educated ourselves to defend our culture. Well, one of the things that I just wanted to mention about what you just asked right now is about to find self identity, and the only way you're going to receive that respect is if you find out what your heritage and your history is all about. You know, it's all about bond, and
Mhm.
and that scene. It's all about pain and forgiveness. And I like how he says es familia.
Uh-huh. I love
Pasa is.
that right here. I love that. I couldn't agree more with you, Mr. Cruz. I love that. And it's been kind of hard because, I mean, right now, us being all isolated and separate from our own selves, uh, caught up in stories that don't even involve Eagle Pass, and yet, whatever's going on in Washington or Austin or anywhere else, and yet we believe like as if it's us here and we're like torn apart. It's like no, like that's why these stories and talking right now and seeing the films and discussing them is so important. You touched on a very important topic, and I want either Brenda or Frankie to go in after this one. It says exactly what you were saying, Mr. Cruz. It says the video essay talks about it. It says don't just settle for telling your story, and that's what we're kind of doing right now, and what Blood and Blood Out did in the film itself. Don't just settle for telling your story. Connecting your identity to the here and now, to yourself and to others, to the then and there. Become aware of your story. Get to know the story so that you can both defend it and reflect on it and be able to justify or even refute it. So, as far as Chicano and culture and in history and knowing who you are, has it, Brenda and Frankie, have you felt I don't know, seeing these images, were they kind of new to you, or were they like trivialized caricatures that you've seen in TikToks or social media? Does the history matter to the youngsters? Are you curious about it, or are you all kind of like, is there an indifference overall for you feel kids in general might feel? Brenda or Frankie?
I mean, I've seen those pictures here, like in downtown. I think there's one.
Mhm.
Then in Piedras, I mean, there's a lot in
The
Piedras.
Piedras are so beautiful. They went all out.
Yeah, and but I never really see them in social media.
You don't see
Like,
images. Uh-huh.
yeah, like that in social media. And pues, no sé. I don't know.
I'll add to that. I feel that kind of contributes to the monolithic, meaning singular type culture, and in not seeing images of what was. Not to say what was right, because Lord knows these guys got problems, right? Like we all do. But in seeing images of what was once upon a time, at the history of the people from here, at what they struggled and what they overcame, it's so important for us to know. I do, and I know I keep on mentioning it, and it's going to be a running joke, I'm sure, before I know it. But it's just like the way we trivialize our people in two ways. One is what I've mentioned before, is the whole culture, el tacuache culture, right? And so we laugh at that and we trivialize that, and we're like, oh, no, esos tacuaches, that's them, that's not me. So we trivialize it that way, or we allow PC, meaning political correctness, allow us to not talk about it at all, like to ignore it. Just like coronavirus was a thing, this is also a thing as well. By ignoring something doesn't make it go away. It still is. You know what I mean? And people's cultures and histories, as flawed as they may be, no matter what side of history you're on, history is still worth remembering, and kids need to know about it, because if history lives within us, and if we don't become aware of it, we'll make the same mistakes as before. And as they said, I think it was Mark Twain said, history does not repeat itself, but it sure does echo. You know what I mean? And so it won't sound the same, but it'll reverberate along history. What did y'all think of? I want to share. Well, I can't share the whole audio because it was a little intense. Oh, real quick, any Breaking Bad fans? Out of curiosity, here, any Breaking Bad fans? No, no, no.
Yeah, I like Breaking Bad.
Do you seen it? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you recognize this young man right here? Here, he shows up in Breaking Bad.
Is he I watched it a long time ago, but when I saw, I was like, he kind of looks familiar.
Yeah.
What's his?
Salamanca. Tuco.
Yes.
Tuco. So
I
Tuco.
knew he looked familiar. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, and he really acts it up. He really has to build it up to
Yeah.
be actual Tuco. This scene is incredible. There's so much going on. This is Cruz, and then we got Paco over here, and he's confronting him. Paco's kind of gotten clean now. And then there's this big old fight right around here. He mentions, so the issue is he was hitting up drugs. The little brother, who he's painted right here, it was beautifully painted right there, overdosed because he was trying to look cool like this guy. This guy was unaware of it, and he didn't give it to him or anything like that. And this guy's like, "Hey, who gave you permission to paint my little brother?" And he's like, "He's not your little brother alone; he's mine too." He later on mentions on, "You want him, huh?" He cuts him out. Oh man, this scene's so powerful. Every time I see it, I want to cry. And then there's this real big confrontation because it's like something else happened. Because again, it's not so obviously correct or incorrect. It's not so obviously white and black. There's all this gray. What ended up happening was this guy used to be a hardcore gangbanger, and then eventually he became a policeman, hating the gangs that he used to belong to. Eventually, this guy ends up, becoming a robber at a bank or something like that. He had a mask. He realized that it was him while he was, called to that thing, and he doesn't want to shoot him, or definitely not kill him. So he doesn't shoot him towards the bodies or any of the internal organs. So he shoots him in the leg. Little does he know that he shot him in a place where, like, he eventually lost the leg. And so this guy, where is it? This guy is like, he tells him, like, he always loved me more than he ever loved you. Because you thought you were too cool. You were too cool for yourself. You couldn't love the little vato. And then he keeps on messing with them, and he's like, "All right, déjale caer, you the law, do your job." He said, "You're so," what does he say? "You're so," gosh. Se la deja caer que you shoot your own people. And oh gosh, it's so deep. The conversation there is just like so heavy. But as far as that is concerned, let's see. He represents the process of Chicano. So supposedly Paco right here represents the process of Chicano enculturation into American society, where heritage and tradition fall behind the strict adherence to the rule of law, conformity, right? And so we kind of have experienced this, and I'm only going to bounce around this subject very little because it's very, very touchy right now. He essentially becomes, like, supposedly in the eyes of them when they were kids, one of the bad guys. And we've kind of seen a little bit of that stuff be used against one another, unfortunately, in the summer, us versus them mentality. And it's been kind of really ugly, to be honest. Let me see if there's anything else that's kind of cool to talk about. Miklo's story is kind of crazy, but I think, let's see, self-despite, what was he? He always thought Miklo's self-actualization remains unclear because he may have sacrificed. Okay, I'll just talk about that guy real fast. Sorry, I'm kind of bouncing around here. This guy started off wanting to belong to a family, striving to prove himself worthy to others time and again. And he ends up being the unconventional anti-hero. He surprises everyone who ever dismissed him by gaining ultimate power and respect within the prison system. He's a social chameleon. He ends up adapting to various social environments. There's a lot of self-loathing going on. And let's see here. So despite obtaining the power and respect of belonging, he always thought Miklo's self-actualization remains unclear because he may have self-sacrificed his identity for the collective, for La Onda, which was the gang that he was a part of. Do you guys, or let's see, who can answer this? I guess the youngsters here. In trying to fit in and trying to belong to whatever perceptions of things or people or groups that you all see right now, um, do you feel that there is this sense of losing who you are by yourself, like through the collective? I know we kind of talked about this a little bit. Brenda, you who've been in California and in Dallas and here, and you've been a part of all these groups, the law club or Young Prosecutors Club or something like that, and in drama. What has your perception been for this collective group think and personal identities, having lived in so many places?
Oh, well, I think that like in every group there's like always like this one specific group that like you have to like try to fit in, or like are the cool ones from this particular club, or like the theater kids.
Hmm.
There's always that like small group of people that are just always volunteering for everything, and everybody else just looks at them like, oh, they're like teachers' pets and everything. Or like mock trial. Everybody was like super stuck up.
But and what do you think? How do you think all of that has changed now that you don't see anyone else? Like you just show up like right now. Well, right now, by the way, those of y'all that are checking out the show, classes don't look like this. Majority of classes don't have the cameras on, so we're very very lucky right now. So back in the day, there used to be cliques. Now, school life. What does school life look like to you? Is there even a chance to be a part of a clique?
I mean, I guess because like AV is like one of the classes like, everybody like mostly participates in, and like in none of my other classes, like everybody just has like their icon there, like nobody shows up their face or anything.
There's no actual communicating. How about okay? So, but you know about AV because you're a part of it, and you're one of the kids that gets to communicate and be integrated. But how? Man, that's weird. Yeah. So the perception of the kids that are going through day to day life, you're aware of it in my class, and in other classes, there's not all that much engagement. Let's say, what are kids thinking when you're just in the background like that? Because you can't even see anyone else. You're in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to turn on your camera. The teacher's going on and on and on, and you don't see anyone else, like any cool kids physically near you, because they're on a screen being represented to an icon. How does that feel like throughout the day now? Like, is it weird? Do you kind of lose your sense of self as to like, who am I even trying to be with regards to school?
Yeah, I guess that like does come in like the conversation, especially since like, well, I'm new to the school. Like, I don't know who the cool kids are or the popular ones.
Yeah, and that's yeah. So I like your perspective because yeah, you've been all over the place, and for those of y'all that don't know, Brenda has been very very her efforts are very much appreciated. She always lends a helping hand. She's always very very helpful. I know she's helpful here, and she's kind of known within the ranks here, but navigating this new social order on campus, on digital campus, I should say, has been kind of weird, and the ramifications and how you see the images reflected or not reflected among the kids is kind of weird. It's something I hadn't even thought about. Movies used to be a part of that. Seeing one another and seeing the groups be a part of something used to be a part of that. You could strive to want to be a part of that group or this group, but now there's just blank icons. who are you going to be now? And I mean, and this is at a high school kids. You kind of your personality and Leo's personality and Frankie's and Angel's, like they're very well developed. It doesn't matter if you're in a high school class or a college class. Like a good 80% or 70% of who you are has already been defined, right? Could you imagine? The youngsters, the elementary kids, or even the junior high kids. Oh boy, junior high, you do a lot of growing up, and it's like you're alone. You're not being reflected back, whether you're doing something right or wrong or cool or not cool. It's just you and your screen in your bedroom. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing I hadn't even thought about. Jeez. Anyway, guys, I think we're already like past the 5-minute mark. Usually, and I'll give you guys a little bit of time to think about this, we end the talk just by stating something that just like a 10-second phrase or sentence of something that kind of keeps you going, that kind of made you laugh, or that you're grateful for, or that's a little productivity or happiness hack that keeps you motivated to just keep going, because right now we need a little bit of that. So I'll go first if you don't mind, just to be the icebreaker. And I'll say two things. One, I am so happy and grateful to coordinate these events, to see the movies within intent with a video, because I'm going to talk about it with you guys, and to actually meet with other people who might not think like me, but who are from my community. I'm so grateful for that. Two, I'm very, very grateful that not only do I get to share this experience and practice and learn this whole thing with my students, but I'm very grateful for people like Mr. Cruz as well, and Angel, and for the people that don't have to be here, that are not necessarily part of the class, but who are willing to give their time and energy and attention to the class and to the program and to the community, because it matters. We need to reflect what we want to see back. And we can't reflect anything like we were talking about right now if we're not emitting anything, a little icon, or not showing up. So I'm very, very grateful to you guys. Anyway, anyone else want to go first after that?
I can go. I'm glad that people always find a way. I know pre-COVID there was this set of way of doing things. And honestly, it's amazing how even through COVID, we still find ways to talk to each other. We still find ways to work things around. I mean, who knew COVID was going to come by like this? And now everyone's doing this online stuff, video chat, all these apps now that like Zoom. Like, I had never heard of Zoom before. And then COVID came by and it's like, oh, I guess it's a thing now, right? So, it's kind of like a good reminder that there's always going to be a way to do things. Like, there's always going to be a way to go through something, and that's just how it is. We just got to find it. So
I love that. Active hopefulness to look forward. I'm actively going to do it. I love that. Mr. Cruz, you said or I heard you. Thank you, Angel.
Yes, this was honestly, it was a really good experience. I hope to be able to be in the presence of more and to contribute. But the only thing I wanted to say is that really quick on that scene with the art mural is that sometimes it's too hard to show love, and it's too easy to hate.
Yes.
And so every family has their tough situations. But that's why when these things like that scene is so powerful, like,
oh God, yes,
like 4 or 5 times, but because it affects the family, and if it doesn't get solved, it affects the barrio, community, and then it affects the society as a whole. So although that scene hurts, like really, but there's one thing that I want to leave you guys with a word, and that's resiliency. The American people, we're very resilient. And we'll find a way, like you said, like Angel said, to find a way to work together, to communicate together, and to, we've been through thick and thin, but I think that we're going to be all right if we help each other out.
I love that. Yes, we need it. All of this, even this, just looking forward to being with you all, is something to look forward to. It's something to be resilient for. It's something to help the younger community, younger generations. Absolutely. Brenda?
I'm happy and grateful, like, to be here. Like, everybody's has their camera on. It's another way to connect, like Angel said, and everybody's like contributed to this conversation.
I love it. Thank you. Leo?
I'm very grateful to be part of this because more than ever right now, we need more ways of communicating back and forth, and being able to watch a scene and like have an intellectual conversation about its effects and like how we see it. It's just a very like impactful way, at least to me, to communicate with other people, and especially meeting new people and seeing their insight, like Mr. Cruz and Angel. I had never met him before, but even just like talking to them this one time, I feel like I know them. I know where they come from. I know what like how they see things. It's a very
Tight.
it's a very fun way, because like more than ever, like in the scenes right now, we need family. We need like, especially like chosen family,
Yes.
because we need to be able to like communicate, because like not everybody can communicate with their biological family as well as other people. So I feel like being able to talk to people you choose to talk to is a very like important thing.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I can't believe you said that. I love that. I feel, because that's the overarching essence, that we take care of our own, period. And we have to rekindle that thought, that we take care of our own, because this us and them and the other is like an equal path. This is the same community. These are my neighbors. These are my friends. These are my students. And am I going to agree with everything? No, I don't have to, but I have to learn to live with them, and I have to provide for them as much as I can. So I love that you hit on that topic. That really makes me feel happy that the point is being shared somehow. Yes, you said it so good. Thank you, Leo. Frankie?
I mean, I'm also grateful to be part of this, like to communicate with other people and meet people like Angel.
Yeah.
And Mr. Cruz. Well, Mr. Cruz is my fifth grade teacher.
Oh.
So, I get to see him talk every other day when he does the meets. And
Points.
Extra points.
yeah. And then, no más eso.
I love it. Yeah, and this is what we're here for. Again, people that don't have to meet. We don't, Angel could be off, hiking some beautiful mountain away around the world, and he's here with us. Mr. Cruz could be busy, doing all the work that he has to do for all the core area courses and the dual credit courses and everything. But he's given time back for you guys, and you guys going above and beyond for the sake of it. Because I don't even give you these kids extra credit. They're here because they want to be a part of this, and they want to be a part of the conversation. So, guys, with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm happy to have had the chance to be with you guys and be in your presence. And I hope you all have an amazing weekend. And we'll stay tuned, okay? Have a good one, guys.
Stay safe, everyone.
Likewise. Goodbye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Catch you later.